Hey guys, I'm really excited to tell you guys that draft mode is coming to Pokemon Unite ranked mode, which is really exciting. In today's video, we're going to explain you what means draft, how to draft, which Pokemon can benefit from solo queue, why last pick is really good, which Pokemon are good to draft, and what are my expectations for draft. The tournament mode was used in the Unite Championship Series Season 2, and this is where draft was introduced for Pokemon Unite. The difference between ranked mode and tournament mode is, in tournament mode you can select your own rules with head items, Unite license cards, etc. And you can also choose no emblems. In tournament mode you can make custom rules where every head item is unlocked, every head item is level 30, all Unite license cards are unlocked, and all battle items are unlocked. In tournament mode you can also choose your own ping to help scrimming against other regions, for example. And in ranked mode it's not gonna be available. Before we're going to the in-game draft, I'm going to use this website that I have been using with my team to draft against them or for them or prepare against another team. And this website is really cool to just prepare for your draft for yourself. And I will link the website in the description below. In Pokemon Unite draft mode, you have one ban for each team, and every time you pick a character, the enemies are not able to pick the character away from you. It meaning that no mirror matchup is gonna be allowed anymore, and that's why I'm really excited about draft. No more double Umbreon in the enemy side, and you can always draft to or draft the opponent or draft the Pokemon that you like to play against the enemy team composition. For example, in this scenario, I'm going to ban Blastoise, and the enemies are going to ban Pikachu. Then you're going to pick Charizard, and the enemies cannot pick Charizard anymore. Charizard is disabled for the enemy teams because the left side team already took the Charizard away from them. So as you can see here, you can pick different Pokemon, and then you have a variety of Pokemons in the draft mode, which is really exciting. No more mirror matchups in ranked, and it's just really fun. The opposite effect is going to be that some teams are going to be stronger than the other teams, but overall you can choose your own Pokemon to draft against your own Pokemons. And I'm going to show you guys which Pokemons are good, which Pokemons you can choose in draft, and why specific Pokemons are really good into specific team compositions. Which Pokemon benefit from draft? Speedsters specifically benefit a lot from the draft mode because this is an example that will hopefully never happen in your solo queue game when draft comes out. But when the enemies pick 4 attackers and you have the last pick, the 4th and 5th pick, technically you could pick Speedsters like Dodrio, Dengar, and then you're just gonna have a perfect draft against them because you can one-shot them. And then the enemy can pick another attacker or a counter pick to the enemy's composition that is the left side composition. Obviously, this is just an example, but in this game, Dengar is going to be really strong because he can see that the enemy right side composition has 5 attackers, so he can one-shot everyone. Another Pokemon that can benefit from draft is, for example, Inteleon or range attackers with a lot of range, right? If you pick Inteleon against the enemy composition, which is a Blastoise, Glacier, and the Trevenant, you can pick it away from the enemies, and for example, pick mine, whatever, but you have longer range than the enemy opponents, right? So if the enemies don't pick a Speedster at the end of the draft, you're going to have a really easy time sniping the enemies from far away. And the enemies cannot really go into you, right? Because you have longer range than them. It's going to be hard for them to actually survive because they don't have any healer. There's no healer. So the enemies need to decide if they want to pick a healer to counter the double range comp or to pick a Speedster to one-shot the double range comp. But if the enemies pick a Pikachu, for example, you're going to have a really easy game for yourself. There's gonna be a lot of variations what you can draft in specific scenarios and why draft is good in specific scenarios, and we're going to have a look in the future videos. In this video I'm just gonna show you guys what it means to draft and how you can draft. Alright guys, we're going to head to the draft mode, and I'm gonna show you guys what options you have when you have draft mode. You have the quick chat option, obviously, with the minus+ button. You can pick a Pokemon, so the enemies, like your teammates, know what Pokemon you shouldn't ban. And then you can also request a ban by using the ZR button to request a ban. Specifically, if you want to ban, for example, Slowbro, everyone hates Slowbro, let's say, then you're gonna ban Slowbro, and you wanna request a Slowbro ban, and hopefully your teammates are going to ban it as well. This is a simulation, so the bots will not ban anything. We're going to ban the Slowbro, and then we're gonna wait until the enemies have picked. There's a X button, a switch option, that you can request pressing the X button, and when you switch, potentially your teammates are going to switch with you. And then you can be the first pick, specifically if you play Defender, Attacker, or Support. For example, if you want to get the Inteleon or Buzzball early, you can request it, and then hopefully your teams are going to switch with you. For example, one player likes to have last pick, the other player likes to have first pick, more like supports. Supports are not going to be picked away too much, I think, but it's going to be interesting to see how draft mode is going to affect how many people are going to play support. But having the X button is going to be really nice. You have 20 seconds each time you choose a character, and then you can just select the path like you usually do, select the battle items, and you have 45 seconds time to select everything. So you can also choose your skin, then choose your role, and then like it will show that you will head to the central area as well. There's also the quick chat, obviously. The draft mode is gonna be really exciting actually, like choosing your emblem page, choosing your right items, etc. And then you can already see all the Pokemon that are in the draft screen, and then you can see what does my team need. For example, when you play Defender, you can play Body Barrier, you can play Score Shield. You have 45 seconds time to just think about what your team needs to have. But you can also think about what did the enemies previously draft. For example, if they have an Umbreon, you don't want to play Body Barrier into Umbreon. You're going to play Resonant Guard instead. This is how you can draft in a short amount of time. Which Pokemon are good to draft? Now we're having a look at the tier list that I made for drafting. At least, what is my opinion about draft? We are having a look at the tier list. I'm going to tell you guys what I think about the tier list. We have the strong draft Pokemon, the good draft Pokemon, the situational draft Pokemon, the Pokemon that are hard to draft, and the bad Pokemon. So in the strong draft Pokemon, these are Pokemon that are really strong in the early game. I put a lot of supports in the strong draft Pokemon is because if you have a Pokemon like a support in your draft is already better in terms of having a support that can heal you. For example, if the enemies choose a double range composition, poke you a lot, if you have a healer, it's gonna help you. We don't know what the player is doing, but in my opinion, supports are highly prioritized in draft, and it can be helpful in ranked as well. Obviously, like Zoroark, a strong jungler Pokemon, Leafeon, the Inteleon. And we also have characters like Venusaur and Blastoise, which can play 2 sets of build. So Venusaur can play Battle Dance, Giga Drain, or Solar Beam and Sludge Bomb, right? So strong draft Pokemons are Pokemon that use the Pokemon, but then change the build depending on the enemy composition. For example, you play Battle Dance Venusaur against heavy melee compositions, or like Assassins. And you play Solar Beam Venusaur against like mages that have not a lot of like, range, like Gardevoir or Espeon. Blastoise as well, when you play Water Sport Rapid Spin, it's easier to play against squishy Pokemon, and Surf and Hydro Pump is cool to make setup for your team, or you want to play Defender. Obviously Slowbro, strong draft Pokemon, Slowbro is always broken, and Buzzwole. So for the good draft Pokemon, these are Pokemon that are generally good for the draft. It doesn't really matter when you pick them, they are just good Pokemon. I put Talonflame as well, because from solo queue experience, I think a lot of people will play like Cinderace or Greninja. So Talonflame is always decent in draft. Don't pick it too early, pick it in the 3rd and 4th pick, but Talonflame is pretty strong. Mimikyu, Blaziken, all of these characters are decently strong. I didn't put Blizzy in the strong draft Pokemon, because Blizzy is a good support, but it's also like kind of a situational support that can be good in specific scenarios, like Wigglytuff as well. And yeah, these are my good draft Pokemon. For the situational Pokemon, the draft mode, this section you have Aegislash, Lucario, Zeraora, Absol, Gengar for example. I put Gengar in the situational draft Pokemon as well, because imagine you play against 3 or 4 attackers, and then you have a Gengar draft. This is just gonna be perfect. But if you play against a composition like Blastoise, Buzzball, etc., it's gonna be hard for Gengar to one-shot anyone. So Gengar is more situational, like Speedstars, like Absol as well. Aegislash, for example, is as well really good into specific drafts, and Scizor as well. So Scizor can benefit a lot from draft. I put Scizor in the good draft Pokemon, because Scizor and Cypher, you can change the Pokemon depending on the draft, right? But I think Scizor can benefit a lot from draft if you play against a heavy AD composition. So that's why Scizor is in the good draft, and Cypher is in the situational draft. Because you play Cypher against Speedstars, etc. I could put Glacier in the good draft as well. Not sure why it was in the situational draft. Glacier is pretty strong as well. You can play Glacier, and technically it's a strong draft Pokemon because you can play Icy Wind or Ice Spear depending on the enemy composition. But yeah, all these characters have like an issue against specific compositions or specific mons. Delphox is a weak early jungler, and if you play against a enemy composition that has a really strong early game, and you pick Delphox into it, you're just not gonna have a great time, right? Tergivadas as well, really late spiking jungler or spiking character. Pikachu as well, not really having too much damage. But Pikachu is situational as well, because if you play against Speedstars, you can play Volt Tackle. The draft is going to be really exciting. For the hard draft, like for the hard to draft Pokemon, I choose Charizard, Cinderace, Greedent, and Serena, because these Pokemon really need a specific draft to shine. Charizard can shine in specific drafts where you can one-shot squishy targets, etc. But in general, Charizard is hard to draft. Cinderace is also pretty hard to draft. I think Cinderace is a character that is not really the greatest right now. All of these new releases, etc. Just one shot Cinderace. He's so squishy. So it's a bit hard to draft Cinderace, but if you have the proper draft, it's gonna be really exciting. Greedent needs a buff. What can I say? I think if you play against like a lot of squishy Pokemon and you play Greedent, it's gonna be the coolest time in your life when you play Greedent in Lina. So I'm really excited about ranked. Sabrina as well. I think Sabrina is hard to draft. Suffers against a lot of Pokemon like Snorlax, Umbreon, Blastoise, heavy CC Pokemon, heavy tanks. Pretty hard to draft. Pet Pokemon. I put Water Bear. I think Water Bear is not that good. Maybe he can be better in draft, but I don't think he's good in general. But I don't think Duraludon is a good Pokemon. I think Duraludon needs a buff or a change. Because Duraludon is like everyone is just like flipping. Position. I'm not sure if the X Pokemons are going to be unbanned or not. So I just put Zacian in the bad Pokemon. Because Zacian is also not the strongest, but he can technically be a strong draft Pokemon as well, right? Like Mewtwo Y in a strong draft Pokemon, and in a good draft it's like Mewtwo X. But yeah, this is priority picks, at least from my perspective. Let me know what you think about it in the comments below. Which Pokemon you think is a strong draft Pokemon, good draft Pokemon. It's not only about strong draft, right? It's about how they play in the draft, how you can play them in the game, what compositions are really bad into it, etc, etc. So just keep that in mind when you draft these Pokemon. This is just a list of what I think is a pro player, what will be really good for draft, what you can draft to win more games. What are my expectations for draft? I have a really positive expectation for draft. I think draft is going to help Pokemon Unite. I think draft mode will maybe make the players a bit more thinking about what Pokemon they need to play against specific characters. Because a lot of players will have a really hard time making specific characters that they usually like to play, because the enemy composition is just really hard to play against. So they need to think about what they need to pick to have a better time in ranked, right? So here I am making these guides on YouTube. I hope you guys are going to enjoy the video, upcoming videos, and it's gonna be a great time explaining to you guys how to draft properly, what Pokemon you need to play in specific scenarios. And just like, feel free to ask me in the comments below what characters you think, like what your experience are, and what you think it can be a good character to draft, etc. That's it for the starter draft guide. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and learned a lot of stuff from how to draft to what Pokemons you can play. I would appreciate a like for this video, because these videos are going to invest a lot of time making it, and subscribe to not miss any future videos.